This dedicated canine officer desperately carried her critically ill puppy through pouring rain to the one human she trusted. Her puppy was barely breathing, and no one thought he would survive the night. But the man she sought made a split-second decision that would change everything. This extraordinary story of maternal devotion and human compassion will leave you in tears. The rain fell in relentless sheets across the police training facility on the outskirts of Portland. Officer James Cowell hunched deeper into his jacket as he locked the administration building, the last to leave, as usual. At 38, the K-9 training supervisor had long ago accepted that his job didn't follow standard hours, not with 12 working police dogs and their handlers depending on his expertise. Lightning flashed, illuminating the training yard and kennel buildings beyond. The facility's K-9 officers lived on site during intensive training, and tonight 4 teams were in residence, safely settled before the storm hit. James had just reached his truck when a sound cut through the drumming rain, a high-pitched whine that raised the hair on his neck. He turned, squinting through the downpour, and saw a dark shape moving across the yard toward him. "Luna?" he called, recognizing the distinctive profile of the department's top explosives detection dog, a 4-year-old German Shepherd who had completed her training under his guidance 2 years earlier. "What are you doing here, girl?" Luna wasn't supposed to be at the facility. Her handler, Officer Sarah Reeves, had left earlier for a week of vacation, the first she'd taken since Luna had delivered a litter of puppies 3 months ago. The puppies had been weaned, and all but one had been placed in selected homes, with the standout male reserved as a potential future K-9. As Luna drew closer, James realized something was wrong. Her typically perfect gait was uneven, her movements desperate despite obvious exhaustion. More alarming was what she carried in her mouth, a small, limp form that James recognized as her remaining puppy. "Luna, here," he commanded, dropping to one knee despite the soaking ground. The German Shepherd reached him and carefully placed the puppy at his feet. The 12-week-old male was soaking wet, unnaturally still, his breathing shallow and labored. Luna looked up at James, her eyes communicating a desperation that transcended species. She whined again, then nudged the puppy toward him, a clear plea for help. James quickly gathered the puppy in his jacket, feeling for vital signs. The young dog's heartbeat was weak and irregular, his temperature far below normal. "Good girl, Luna," he said automatically, his mind racing through options. The facility had basic veterinary supplies, but nothing for a life-threatening emergency. The nearest emergency vet was 30 minutes away in good weather. Luna paced anxiously, watching his every move. James noted scratches on her muzzle and legs, signs she'd traveled through rough terrain to reach him. The training facility was 10 miles from Sarah's home. Somehow, Luna had escaped, gathered her sick puppy, and traveled all that distance through the storm to find the one human she trusted besides her handler. James made a split-second decision. "Come on," he said, opening his truck's passenger door. Luna immediately jumped in, her focus never leaving her puppy, as James gently placed the small form on a blanket. As he started the engine, James pulled out his phone. He didn't call the emergency vet. Instead, he dialed a number few people had access to. "Dr. Chen, it's James Cowell. I have an emergency and I need a favor that can't wait till morning." Dr. Emma Chen's private veterinary practice catered exclusively to an elite clientele, with specialized facilities that rivaled many small hospitals. Located in a converted farmhouse outside the city, it wasn't advertised or open to the public. Her patients included specialized working animals, from racehorses to irreplaceable service dogs. Through driving rain and wind-whipped roads, James maintained a tense conversation with Dr. Chen via his truck's hands-free system, describing the puppy's symptoms while Luna remained vigilantly positioned, her body curled protectively around her offspring. 12 weeks old, pale gums, irregular breathing, unresponsive, James reported, swerving to avoid a fallen branch. Luna's last puppy, the pick of the litter. "Could be several things," Dr. Chen replied crisply. "Internal bleeding, poison, infection that's gone septic. I'll be ready when you arrive. Is Luna showing any similar symptoms? No, James confirmed, glancing at the German Shepherd. Despite her exhaustion, Luna's focus remained razor sharp, her attention divided between her puppy and the road ahead. Just extreme stress and exhaustion. She carried him at least 10 miles through this storm. 20 minutes later, James pulled into the clinic's drive. Dr. Chen was waiting under the portico with her assistant. Before James could open his door, Luna was barking urgently, her deep voice cutting through the storm. Bring them both directly to exam room 1, Dr. Chen instructed as James gathered the motionless puppy. Luna leaped from the truck, but stayed precisely at James's side, her body pressed against his leg as if to ensure he wouldn't be separated from her puppy. The examination room was a marvel of veterinary technology. Dr. Chen moved with practiced efficiency, transferring the puppy to a heated table. Luna placed her front paws on the table's edge, her posture conveying both anxiety and absolute focus. Luna, down, James commanded softly. Dr. Chen shook her head. Let her see. She brought him to you for help. She needs to understand that's what's happening. As if understanding, Luna lowered her paws but remained vigilant, watching every movement with intelligent assessment. The examination was swift and thorough. Blood samples, ultrasound, vital signs, all recorded with brisk precision. James observed the growing concern in Dr. Chen's expression. Internal bleeding, she finally confirmed, indicating the ultrasound screen. And his blood work shows elevated liver enzymes. Has he had access to any toxins? Rat poison? James shook his head. Not that I know of. Officer Reeves is meticulous about safety. Dr. Chen's expression grew grave. We need to stabilize him immediately. Transfusion, fluids, and likely surgery once he's stable enough. She hesitated, and James understood the unspoken question. Such treatment would cost thousands, far beyond what the department could authorize for a puppy not yet in the program. Do what you need to do, he said firmly. I'll cover it personally if necessary. Luna whined softly, drawing both humans' attention. The German Shepherd's intent gaze moved between them, then settled on her puppy with such profound concern that Dr. Chen's professional detachment visibly wavered. First, we need a blood donor, she said, preparing a transfusion kit. Ideally, another young, healthy dog, but we don't have time. Luna stepped forward, pressing against Dr. Chen's leg, and then looking pointedly at her puppy. She's offering, James said, surprised despite his years working with intelligent dogs. Dr. Chen nodded. If she's healthy enough, it could make the difference. The next 3 hours unfolded in a blur of medical procedures and tense monitoring. Dr. Chen worked with focused intensity, administering medications, checking vital signs, and preparing for possible emergency surgery if the bleeding continued. Luna remained a steadfast presence, recovering quickly from her blood donation and positioning herself where she could maintain visual contact with her puppy without interfering. Occasionally, she would glance at James, as if confirming that he was still monitoring the situation. I've never seen this level of aware interaction, Dr. Chen commented during a brief lull. Most dogs with sick puppies are either panicked or aggressively protective. She's communicating. James nodded, watching as Luna again checked the puppy, then made eye contact with him. She's one of our best. Highest detection scores I've ever recorded, and her situational awareness is off the charts. That's why her puppies were so valuable, especially this one. She made the right decision bringing him to you, Dr. Chen said, studying the latest ultrasound. The bleeding is finally slowing. I think the treatments are working. Outside, the storm continued its assault. James had contacted Officer Reeves's sister, learning that she had discovered Luna missing shortly after dinner. The puppy had been lethargic earlier, but not critically ill. She had planned to take him to their regular vet in the morning. What no one had realized until Dr. Chen's toxicology screening confirmed it was that the puppy had ingested rat poison, likely from the neighbor's garden shed where reconstruction had disturbed an old bait station. The amount in his system would have been fatal within hours without intervention, Dr. Chen explained as midnight approached. Even with immediate treatment, most puppies this young wouldn't survive this exposure. But he has a chance now? James asked, watching the small chest rise and fall with slightly more regular rhythm. Dr. Chen nodded cautiously. The next few hours are critical. If he makes it till morning. Luna, who had been resting her head on the examination table's edge, suddenly lifted her muzzle. Her ears pivoted forward, focusing on her puppy with renewed intensity. A moment later, the monitoring equipment confirmed what her senses had already detected. The puppy's heartbeat had strengthened, his oxygen levels improving. Remarkable, Dr. Chen murmured. His numbers are stabilizing. I think we might be turning a corner. As if understanding, Luna made a soft sound of relief. She gently licked her puppy's paw, then looked up at James with what could only be described as gratitude. We're not out of the woods yet, Dr. Chen cautioned, adjusting the IV drip. The next 12 hours will tell us if there's permanent damage to his liver or kidneys. James nodded, placing a reassuring hand on Luna's head. She knew exactly what to do and who could help. If he pulls through, it will be because of her. Intelligence like hers is rare, Dr. Chen agreed. But what's truly extraordinary is how she combined that intelligence with maternal instinct to make complex decisions under extreme stress. As the storm gradually subsided outside, the three unlikely allies continued their vigil. A dedicated veterinarian, a canine trainer, and a mother dog whose remarkable actions had given her puppy the only chance he had for survival. Dawn brought pale sunlight streaming through the clinic windows and renewed hope. The puppy, whom James had begun mentally calling Chance, had survived the night. His vital signs had stabilized, and though still critical, he was showing signs of responsiveness that had been absent when they arrived. Luna had maintained her vigil throughout the night, accepting water and food only when James insisted, her attention never straying far from her puppy. When Dr. Chen had finally stepped out to catch a few hours of rest, James had settled into a chair beside the examination table, keeping his promise to both mother and pup that they wouldn't be alone. James? Dr. Chen's voice roused him from a light doze. She had returned, looking remarkably fresh despite the circumstances. I've been reviewing his latest blood work. He's responding to treatment better than I expected. Luna was immediately alert, her intelligent eyes moving between the humans as if following their conversation. The poison is clearing from his system, and the vitamin K therapy is working, Dr. Chen continued, showing James the latest test results. Most importantly, his clotting factors are returning to normal levels. We may avoid surgery altogether if this continues. James felt a wave of relief, tempered by cautious realism from years of working with injured canines. What about long-term effects? Will he fully recover? Dr. Chen's expression turned thoughtful as she checked the puppy's responses, gently manipulating his limbs and testing reflexes. That's the most surprising part. I'm not seeing neurological deficits that often accompany severe poisoning cases. Somehow, Luna got him here quickly enough to prevent the worst damage. Luna, hearing her name, stood and stretched carefully before moving to Dr. Chen's side, her nose delicately investigating her puppy's condition for herself. It's as if she understood exactly how critical the timeline was, Dr. Chen marveled, watching the German Shepherd's methodical assessment. Most owners delay too long, thinking the animal will improve on its own. The conversation was interrupted by James's phone. Officer Sarah Reeves had been contacted by her sister and was cutting her vacation short, already on her way back from the coast. Her voice crackled with concern and gratitude when James updated her on the situation. Luna broke through the back screen door, she reported. My sister thought she was just upset about being left behind, but now we know she was trying to get to her puppy. By the time my sister realized they were both gone, Luna had at least a 2-hour head start. In pouring rain, navigating 10 miles with an injured puppy, James added, watching Luna with renewed admiration. She didn't just act on instinct, Sarah. She made a deliberate choice about where to go for help. If she'd gone anywhere else. Officer Reeves's voice trailed off, the implication clear. Any delay would have been fatal for the puppy. By mid-morning, Chance was showing remarkable improvement. He had regained consciousness, weakly accepting water, and even responding to Luna's gentle nudging with a slight tail wag that brought tears to James's eyes. Dr. Chen was carefully documenting every aspect of the case. I'd like to write this up for the veterinary journals, she told James. The combination of maternal behavior, problem solving, and Luna's apparent understanding of the medical urgency, it's unprecedented in my experience. As they spoke, Luna suddenly became alert, her ears pivoting toward the clinic's entrance seconds before they heard a car door slam. With perfect recall of her training, she remained at her puppy's side rather than running to investigate, but her body language showed recognition. Moments later, Officer Sarah Reeves appeared in the doorway, still in casual vacation clothes, her face showing the strain of a night of worry and hurried travel. Luna's tail wagged in greeting, but she didn't leave her position beside her puppy. She's been like that all night, James explained. Won't leave his side except when absolutely necessary. Sarah approached slowly, taking in the medical equipment, the improved but still fragile condition of her puppy, and the unwavering dedication of her canine partner. You saved him, Luna, she whispered, kneeling beside the examination table. You knew exactly what to do. The story of Luna's extraordinary journey spread quickly through the canine unit and beyond. What began as an internal department memo about the incident became a local news story, then regional, and finally national as the unique aspects of Luna's actions captured public imagination. K9 officer makes heroic journey to save puppy, read the headlines, accompanied by photos of Luna, now back at home with her recovering puppy and handler. The public's fascination centered not just on the dramatic rescue, but on the complex decision-making displayed by the German Shepherd. 2 weeks after that stormy night, James found himself in the unusual position of fielding media inquiries and research requests alongside his regular training duties. Dr. Chen had indeed written up the case for veterinary journals, emphasizing the unprecedented combination of intelligence, maternal drive, and apparent understanding of medical urgency that Luna had displayed. We've received inquiries from 3 university animal cognition departments, James told Sarah, as they watched Luna and her puppy in the training facility's rehabilitation yard. They want to study Luna's problem-solving abilities and decision-making process. The puppy, officially named Chance now, was making a remarkable recovery. At 14 weeks, he showed no lasting effects from his brush with death, his energy and alertness returning with each passing day. More importantly, the preliminary aptitude tests suggested he had inherited his mother's exceptional intelligence and working drive. I'm not surprised by the interest, Sarah replied, watching as Luna guided Chance through basic exploration exercises, encouraging his curiosity while maintaining the boundaries she'd established. What amazes me is how deliberate she was. She didn't just react, she formulated a plan and executed it perfectly. Dr. Chen had joined them for this evaluation session, her professional interest in Luna and Chance now extending beyond their medical case. The cognitive abilities she displayed go beyond what we typically attribute to even the most intelligent working dogs, she observed. She integrated multiple complex factors, the severity of his condition, the distance to help, who could provide appropriate assistance, and acted decisively. As they spoke, Luna completed the exercise with Chance, then approached the humans, her manner somehow conveying both the natural pride of a mother and the professional focus of a working canine. Chance followed, his behavior already showing the structured attentiveness that marked exceptional police dogs. The department wants to use their story for the canine recruitment program, James mentioned, kneeling to greet both dogs appropriately. But I think there's a bigger opportunity here. Sarah raised an eyebrow questioningly. Luna's actions demonstrate something we've suspected, but never documented so clearly, that our K9 officers can make independent judgments in crisis situations beyond their specific training protocols, James explained. That has implications for how we train, deploy, and care for these animals. Dr. Chen nodded in agreement. From a veterinary perspective, this case challenges our understanding of canine cognition and problem solving. If dogs like Luna can recognize medical emergencies and seek appropriate help, we might need to reconsider how we approach animal health care altogether. The conversation was interrupted as Chance suddenly darted toward a training obstacle, showing a burst of energy that reflected his continuing recovery. Luna watched attentively but didn't interfere, allowing her offspring to explore independently while maintaining a watchful presence. Just like that night, Sarah observed quietly. She knew when to act and when to trust. 6 months after Luna's desperate journey through the storm, the Portland Police Department held an unusual ceremony. The chief of police, flanked by city officials and members of the K9 unit, stood before assembled media and guests for what had been described as a special recognition event. Luna sat at perfect attention beside Officer Reeves, her polished service harness bearing the insignia of the department's elite explosion detection team. Beside them, now a striking 6-month-old, sat Chance, officially in training as the department's newest canine recruit under James's direct supervision. Today we recognize extraordinary service above and beyond the call of duty, the chief began, addressing the gathered crowd, not just from our human officers, but from a 4-legged member of our force, whose actions remind us that courage and dedication come in many forms. James watched from the side of the podium, still amazed by how Luna's story had resonated far beyond the department. The research collaboration with 3 universities was now underway, studying advanced problem-solving abilities in working dogs. Dr. Chen had published her case study, which was already influencing veterinary emergency protocols nationwide. Most significantly, the department had implemented what was now called the Luna Protocol, enhanced medical training for all K9 handlers, and a recognition that K9 officers might identify emergency situations before their human partners. Luna's actions that night weren't just remarkable for their courage, the chief continued. They demonstrated a level of judgment and decision-making that reminds us these animals are not simply tools or equipment, but thinking partners who sometimes understand situations in ways we cannot. Officer Reeves was then invited forward with Luna to receive a specially created departmental commendation. As cameras flashed, Luna maintained her professional bearing, her focus unwavering despite the commotion. And in recognition of the extraordinary outcome of Luna's actions, the chief added, "We are proud to officially welcome Chance to our K9 training program, where he's already showing the exceptional aptitude that characterizes his mother's service." At the mention of his name, Chance's ears perked forward, his posture straightening in unconscious mimicry of Luna's professional stance. Though still a puppy in many ways, his training was progressing at a remarkable pace, his natural abilities enhanced by the special bond he shared with his mother, who continued to guide his development even as he began his formal K9 education. The ceremony concluded with the announcement of a new departmental fund for emergency veterinary care for both active and retired K9 officers, named in Luna's honor and seeded with donations that had poured in from across the country after her story went public. As the official proceedings ended and the crowd began to disperse, James noticed Dr. Chen standing at the edge of the gathering, observing Luna and Chance with professional interest. "They're exceptional, aren't they?" he asked, joining her. Dr. Chen nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Beyond the measurable intelligence and aptitude, there's something else, a kind of awareness that transcends what we typically attribute to even exceptional working animals. You mean how she knew exactly where to go that night? James asked. That and more, Dr. Chen replied. I've been practicing veterinary medicine for 20 years, and I've never seen an animal so clearly understand the nature of a medical emergency and take such precise, appropriate action. 1 year to the day after Luna's life-saving journey, James stood at the edge of the training field, watching with quiet pride as Chance completed his final certification exercise. Now fully grown, the young German Shepherd moved with the same focused precision that had made his mother one of the department's most valued canine officers. Perfect score, announced the external evaluator, a veteran canine trainer from a neighboring state brought in to ensure impartial assessment. One of the highest I've ever recorded for a first certification. Luna, who had been watching from beside Officer Reeves, showed no surprise at her offspring's success. Throughout his training, she had maintained a unique role, not just mother, but mentor, demonstrating techniques and approaches that trainers typically spent months instilling. The research study examining Luna's cognitive abilities had expanded to include Chance, documenting what the scientists were calling observational learning capabilities beyond established parameters for canine cognition. In simpler terms, Chance didn't just inherit his mother's intelligence, he actively learned from observing her work. We're fortunate to have them both, Chief Williams commented, joining James at the sideline. Luna's story has transformed our K9 program in ways we never anticipated. Indeed, the changes went far beyond the department. Luna's case had inspired new protocols in veterinary emergency services across the country, with special training for staff in working with highly trained service animals. 3 police departments had already adopted versions of the Luna protocol, and a major foundation had funded research into enhanced communication between working dogs and their handlers during crisis situations. As the certification team packed up their equipment, James watched Luna and Chance demonstrate another remarkable aspect of their relationship. Without commands from either human handler, they conducted their own post-exercise routine, Luna subtly directing Chance through a calm-down sequence that the training staff had only recently incorporated into the program. She's still teaching him, Dr. Chen observed, having attended the certification as part of her ongoing research. And he's not just following, he's understanding the purpose behind each action. The day concluded with a small celebration at the training facility, marking both Chance's certification and the anniversary of the night that had started their extraordinary journey. As staff members shared cake and stories, James found himself alongside Officer Reeves, watching Luna and Chance exploring the perimeter of the gathering together. Do you think she knew? Sarah asked quietly. That night in the storm, do you think she understood exactly what she was doing and what the stakes were? James considered the question seriously, thinking back to Luna's unwavering focus, her deliberate choices, and the clear purpose behind her desperate journey. I think she understood more than we typically credit animals with understanding, he replied finally. She didn't just act on instinct or training. She assessed the situation, identified the problem, and determined the best solution available to her. Like a partner, not just a working animal, Sarah nodded. Exactly, James agreed. And maybe that's the most important lesson from all of this, that these remarkable animals aren't just tools we deploy or assets we manage. They're thinking beings making decisions and judgments alongside us. As if aware they were being discussed, Luna and Chance returned to their handlers' sides, their synchronous movement reflecting both their genetic connection and their shared professional purpose. Luna, ever the consummate professional, maintained her calm alertness even in this relaxed setting. Chance, though still young, already mirrored her disciplined awareness. Together, they represented not just the continuation of exceptional working bloodlines, but a new understanding of the profound capabilities these animals brought to their partnerships with humans. An understanding that had begun on a stormy night when a mother's determination and a trainer's trust had combined to save a life and, in doing so, changed many more. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel Like this video and turn on notifications. Share it with someone who appreciates the remarkable bonds between humans and their working animal partners. Remember, sometimes the most extraordinary capabilities emerge in moments of greatest need, reminding us of the depth of intelligence and devotion that exists beyond human understanding.